All right, I think we're live. Let me know if you hear my audio. Make sure Misty's actually moderating. So, Misty, let me know if you hear audio and video. Make sure everything's good. I was trying to get my stuff set up, so I think it's all set up. Is everybody? Can you hear me? Can everybody hear me? All right, I think everybody can hear us. Now what we'll do is first we're going to talk about some of the issues and some of the things that we were going to talk about on the live. But then at the very end we're going to discuss some new announcements we have. Misty's on here again as the Max Life. So we've got kind of two announcements, one major announcement and then one that we're going to actually go forward with our channel of course here. So we'll discuss both of those. Now the first thing that we're going to talk about is news. And then I want to open it up for questions, kind of like we did last week. I told you we wanted to start doing these lives so that way people can ask us questions and we will try to answer it to the best of our ability. Some things, of course, we may not know. Again, Misty's on here, so that way Misty can answer some questions as well. But that is our goal, is to be able to speak to you and have one-on-ones. Usually our lives, of course, are not as attended as our are viewed as much as our videos, so it gives us time to answer comments. So without any more talking, let's go into the stories for the day. Now, I want to talk about a few things, and then from there, we will get into some bigger discussions. First, did you see where Trump made an announcement that he wants to end daylight savings time? That's a pretty good deal, and I want to know your thoughts on it. Who actually likes daylight savings time? I think everybody's in agreement there, even everybody on both sides of the aisle. So, what do you think about daylight savings time? Also, we're going to talk about Biden and his amount of pardons and clemencies. It will blow your mind in the midst of 4 years, how many people he pardoned and gave clemency to. And to be honest with you, it could be actually tied to something else. We're gonna talk about that too. We're also gonna talk about what Italy and Poland is doing with people that are trying to cross our border, something we should learn. And I think with Trump winning, it actually kind of spurred this moxie with some of these other leaders across the world to say, you know what, if Trump can speak on that terminology where he wants to close the border and keep his people, and not let illegals in. We can do the same thing. So we're going to talk about what Italy and Poland just did as well. We're also talk about Bitcoin. What's your thoughts on Bitcoin? And kind of going from there. It is actually skyrocketing. I think it's going to come with a cost. And then, did you see Trump won a case against ABC? $15 million Legacy Media had to pay Trump. And what they're doing is, of course, paying all his legal bills, and then they're going to pay a foundation in honor of it because Trump didn't want the money. So it's going to his library and going to other things that he wants, like a foundation to help other people. So I thought that was pretty good. Also, Trump is not taking a paycheck for the next 4 years. Again, something that we all expected. Again, just a great way of looking at someone who's trying to be, as much as he can be, a servant of America. So that's what we're getting into. Thank y'all so much for being on here. We have 360 on there. So please give us some thumbs up if you like it. Grammy Karen, good to see you. So let's jump into the first story of Biden. Now, Biden has allegedly, oh, it's not allegedly, he has actually done over, listen to this, 8,000, 8,000 pardons and clemencies. Now, when you think, let's compare him to all the other presidents. Okay. Biden, 8,062. Trump, 237. Listen to that now. Biden pardoned and clemencies and commuted sentences, 8,062, whereas Trump did 237. You know the next highest on the list? Barack Obama did 1,927 pardons, clemencies, and commutes. Bill Clinton, 459. George Bush, the less, 77. Ronald Reagan, 406. Jimmy Carter, 566. Gerald Ford, 409. Richard Nixon, 926. Lyndon Johnson, 1187. John Kennedy, 575. So you think about that. That is unbelievable that if you added all the other presidents from John Kennedy to Trump, add them all up, it doesn't even equal to what Biden has done in 4 years. Now, some of these presidents, like I said, Bush, Clinton, and Obama, they served for longer than 4 years. And of course, Trump is gonna move into another 4-year term. But you tell me, he has pardoned and gave clemency and commute services for 8,000 people. That is more than the president since John Kennedy to Donald Trump added all together. and it doesn't add up to what Biden just did. Is that not mind-blowing to you? Now, there was a story that came out, and this is alleged from leading report that says Biden was actually bribed with hundreds of thousands of dollars to funnel to his brother, Jimmy Biden, for some of these pardons tied to this 8,000. I think a lot of times when they pardon so many people, actually what they're doing is covering up some of the main ones they're wanting to pardon. I saw in the comments somebody said they were pardoning their friends. A lot of these situations are pardons for their friends. A lot of the presidents do that, and a lot of them get kind of quid pro quos. It's not right, but to the tune of 8,000, that's again more than any other president, even combined. But they said a lot of it could be tied to the fact of an account that Jimmy Biden had that was flowing into him. Hmm. That's pretty crazy. So I wonder who got the pardons and who paid for them. You see on the list was some Chinese nationalists, some were tied to, crimes against, trafficking issues, if you know what I mean. So I think this is something that should be looked into, not because of not really because of just let's look into the Bidens. It's the fact that who did he let off and how did he let them off? I mean, did anybody check these people and say, okay, this is why they're getting off? I think this is a big deal. Now, that's not counting the preemptive pardons that he's already talked about. Now, I believe you're going to see the preemptive pardons about a week before he gets out of office. I really do. If he goes through January and he's healthy and we actually get to the inauguration, I believe about a week before you're actually going to see the preemptive pardons of the Faucis, the Millies, the Cheneys, all those kind of people, Kissingers, Benny Thompson, all those. I believe you're going to see that. So it's kind of crazy to see, though. Again, I can't get over 8,000. 8,000. Now, another thing that's kind of crazy is there was another report dealing with the Atlanta, Georgia case against Trump. Is that Wade, the DA that was helping assist down there, Nathan Wade, of course, with all that story with Fannie Willis and all, showed that he did have these meetings against Trump in the White House. So he did meet with the president, or at least his staff, about how he could pursue Trump in Georgia. Now, that is illegal. You can't do that. He is basically tampering with a case. So you tell me why the DOJ is not on this, and I know why they're not on this. But this is where I think Pam Bondi, even though I'm not the biggest Pam Bondi fan, I actually thought Gates would have been a better AG pick, or some other people like Mike Lee. But if Pam Bondi gets in there, I think she needs to hold this kind of stuff accountable. Don't go after everybody in the last 4 years or the last 8 years with lawfare of Trump. But there is people like this where there was literally tampering with evidence, where this case should be definitely thrown out, of course, in Georgia. But that if you looked at a lot of Trump's case, most of them had ties to the White House. That is crazy, absolutely crazy. And so now it's coming out, of course, leaking out, showing that that's exactly what happened. Now, let's move on to the Bitcoin surge before we jump into some of the Trump headlines, and then we'll answer some questions. Bitcoin surged to 103,000. Now, the reason I want to bring this up is because I think a lot of people get into the look that, oh my gosh, Bitcoin's skyrocketing. It is my time to get rich quick. Crypto is skyrocketing. It's my time to get rich quick. And I'll be honest with you, Trump has backed crypto. Howard Lutnick, that's going to serve as his consumer cabinet, basically his pick for over business, is a huge proponent for Bitcoin and crypto. So, do I believe that you're going to see moves towards Bitcoin and crypto? I mean, look at Gary Gensler getting out for the SEC, someone going in the SEC that does back crypto. So, do I believe it's going to be a big player in our future in the next few years? I do. However, I want you to understand, I think it's just a speculative currency that's not worth anything other than the people saying they're going to buy it and get rich quick. The people that's made their money in it is the people that bought it when it was worth nothing. And to be honest with you, it's still worth nothing. The thing that makes it different, and it's the fact that it's bringing value, is because it's so speculative. Now, I know there's going to be some naysayers against that, but to be honest with you, if you can't tangibly hold it, it cannot be a quote unquote commodity. Now, that's what Bitcoin is wanting to be. And I know people like Michael Saylor and Robert Berry Love and all these people that are huge proponents of Bitcoin believe in it. But to be honest with you, again, if it's not tangible, then what is it worth? If a blackout happens, what's it going to be worth? Can you go pay for your gas with Bitcoin? No. And I think you're going to see it split and you're going to see it grow. But to be honest with you, I think that this is just another way that it's gonna take people's money because what they're gonna do is invest in it, thinking they're gonna get rich quick like all these other people, and I don't believe it's actually gonna work. So, give me your thoughts on crypto. I'm not saying you can't play with crypto. I'm not saying you can't have some fun, buying some crypto and buying Bitcoin, but please do not look at it as a way to get rich quick. I don't think that that's even possible. I think if we're looking at that as an option, I believe you'll lose your tail in it. I believe you're going to see a major correction. And even some of the Bitcoin players, the biggest players, say it's going to hit a correction. It may go back down to 60, 70,000. So if you turn around and put all your money in it and it loses 40% of its value, that's gonna kill you. So please make sure that you are paying attention. Do not just jump into it. James Floyd, I agree with you. I'm definitely more on gold and silver. Judy Skelton, I've talked about her several times, but Judy Skelton is part of Trump's financial advisory team. And she is a proponent to go back to the gold back standard, to look back to reestablish our money. So I think that that is going to be huge. And I'm anxious to see if that really plays into talking points. Can we actually see a gold back currency again? Now, if they want to look at doing Bitcoin gold back currency, again, I don't like digitized currencies, but I do believe if we come back and take our dollar and base it on something like gold, I believe America will thrive again. No doubt. I believe it's something that we need to look to. Now, let's go to the daylight savings time. Who actually likes daylight savings time? Now, I'm someone who raises animals and raises gardens and things like that. But does anybody actually like daylight savings time? I tell my wife all the time, I really, even as someone who actually farms, it just doesn't make sense to me. Um, it just I don't know why we changed the time to then turn around and change it back. So it makes no sense to me. Uh, when I get off at 5 or 5:30 every day, it's pitch black. And don't get me wrong, I don't mind that because I still got to do my chores. But it's like, why don't we just stop it and let it just kind of balance out and get a little lighter, get a little darker, and be done with it? I don't understand the fact of the farmer situation either anymore because sadly, most of our conventional farms are owned by big companies that are doing big ag and they've got tons of equipment and they're not worried about working daylight to dusk anymore like they used to. So I just don't think that that's actually much to it. So, Larry Bowers, he says, Colby, we need an update on the second property. We need some good news instead of news. Larry, hey, this video is for you. You need to stick to it. In just a few minutes, I'll tell you some good news there. Let's see. Ask some questions. Does anybody else have questions? Tell me about daylight saving time. It's irrelevant now. It's irrelevant now. I agree, hats. It used to be something that was valuable, but that goes back in the time where farmers needed all that daylight. Now it's not that case because to be honest with you, you have multi-million dollar worth of equipment sitting on farms that's actually doing all the work for you. Sad, but it's true. There's just no point in it. I love the early sunrise, don't get me wrong, because I'm outside usually before dark, but to be honest with you, if they just leave it alone, I think it'd be okay. Marty says, Colby, I so respect you. I have both gold and silver, what I can afford, not much. However, I bought $100 of XRP back in 21. It's worth $800 a day. See, Marty, that's great. That's okay. I have no problem with someone playing with crypto. Like you said, $100 is $100. It's a lot of money, but it's not enough to break your whole savings. I think the problem happens is like the situation with the new crypto that came out last week, where everybody lost their tail in it because they just thought it was going to go to the moon. So they turned around and put thousands of dollars in it and lost their tail in it, which was a terrible idea. So we need to make sure that if we are playing with it, like just like Marty said, hey, put $100 in there, $50, $500, play with it, but don't let it be your savings. That's the key. Now, I mean, I have a little crypto here and there. I told you this before. Not that I believe in it. I don't really. It's just money that's just sitting there, not really anything of major value. So if I lose this, like, oh, it's not a lot of money. It's like what people would pay fast food money for. But just don't put your whole life savings in it. Deborah Calvert says, question, is raw milk really bad for us? Deborah, great question. Raw milk is not bad for you. However, it's not the fact of the milk itself. It's the fact of how the cow is raised and how the cow is cleaned and how the cow is processed with the milk going to the bucket. So for me, I raise my own raw milk. Me and Misty and our children have been drinking raw milk forever. And it's got good things in it, good properties in it, good bacteria in it for our systems. It is the natural source of milk for us. Here's the thing though, if you have someone you can't trust and they're on a dirty farm and they're raising their cattle in bad situations, that's a totally different scenario. I wouldn't just drink anyone's raw milk, not because I don't like raw milk. I may not trust what that farmer may be doing, that practice. So if you are purchasing raw milk or you are drinking raw milk, make sure you kind of know the source and you trust the source, because that's what matters. It's not the fact that raw milk is bad. It's the fact of, can it be cleaned? It's kinda like raw honey, or it's kinda like anything else that you're purchasing. If you're buying it from a quality source, it does make a difference, and it's good, very good quality. So, we're getting about 2 gallons, 2.5 gallons a day. Sometimes it's a little bit less than that. We took 1 milker off, so we're actually just raising 2 right now, for sure. So, a lot of people are saying love raw milk. That's great. Alright, tell me, give me some more questions. Let's get some questions in before we talk about the news that we have for today. I agree. It says not everyone who is into crypto thinks they're going to get rich. I do agree with that, David. The thing is, though, when you think about it, just get down to the nuts and bolts, take away the speculation. What is crypto? Crypto is basically a virtual digital footprint of money that is based on energy used. If energy cannot be produced and there's not someone actually trying to mine or build this new crypto, then it actually brings no value. I think the thing that is this, if you find someone who can explain crypto, most of the time they struggle explaining crypto because it's got so many different facets. So it becomes so complicated that if you don't really understand it, I would not invest in it. It's kind of like NFTs and the virtual world and all that. It gets a little too in depth. So I'm not saying you can't have crypto. I'm not saying it doesn't make sense, but I do believe it causes some issues because most people don't really understand what it is. If a grid falls down or if someone needs to be paid, most of the time they're not going to take crypto. If you watch a lot of videos on crypto and people trying to utilize it, they can't really utilize it because it's not really spendable. The thing different with that versus gold, gold can be literally, a physical coin. You have it, and no matter what the power does, no matter what happens, that gold is valued across the world. There's some cultures that still do not, in some countries that just still do not take crypto. So your value is not based on anything but what the markets are buying it back for. If the markets goes down because people are not buying crypto, then the value is going down because it's not a commodity. It's not based on any true wealth like gold or silver would be. All right, let's say I have some old jewelry I would like to sell because the price of gold is up. I could use that money. That's a great thing. A lot of people are selling jewelry now. I like to keep coins. I never sell coins. I never sell rings. But there's a lot of people that's doing it right now because the value of gold for sure. All right, let's see what else. Let's see if I can find some other questions. What do you look at for the farm to know whether it's good or not? Okay, What do you look for at a farm to know whether it's good or not? First of all, water, land, and how it's laid out. So, meaning if I'm growing gardens or if I'm growing animals, I don't need cliffs. I don't need rocks. For instance, and Misty's on here; she can attest to this. We looked at a property one time. This has been years ago, and this had the most beautiful flowing creek. I mean, it looked like it was a picturesque mountain scene, gorgeous, just right down the road from us. And we were like, man, this is absolutely beautiful. But half of the land was cliffs and making its way down to the spring. And so it was really not usable. You could hunt on it, but when we're talking about homesteading, sustainable living, hunting is only for a season and it's not able to be utilized. So for me, it was, how's the water? Does it have access? Can we dig a well or do we have natural flowing water like spring water? Do we have land already laid out to where we can utilize it, where we're not spending a lot of money to get it done? Also, is it fenced in? Is it surveyed? Is there any easements on it? I cannot stand easements from energy companies, pipeline companies, and so we have one on land that we bought that's adjoining to us. And don't get me wrong, I can't stand it. I can't stand the fact that they have easements on this property. It stresses me out. So that's some of the things that I would look for when I'm buying land or buying farm. Also, make sure your soil has not got any kind of contaminants in it. So do a soil sample because the last thing you want to do is buy a farm and all of a sudden you can't utilize it because it has bad soil. Let's see. I really want to start raising chickens for eggs and eating. There are 3 of us in the home. What kind of good chickens are there for eggs? There's tons. I like Barred Rock. I think they're kind of cool. They look like the jailhouse chicken. Rhode Island Reds are another good one. Americanas, Easter Eggers, Olive Eggers, all those are very good breeds. That's the ones that we're doing. Cindy, that would be true if livestock, would if radiation hits some of the animals, it would be kind of bad. I think that that's a thing that you've got to look at, and that's why we prep. So for us, the way we look at it is, for instance, we're always growing the next steer and then the next steer. as we have meat in the refrigerator. So if we if we slaughter and process an animal, we've already got the next animals already set up. Now the purpose of that is so that way we can keep stocked up and that we have a good bit. We never want to run out of our stocked freezers or freeze dried or canned foods because if something happens to those animals, we have the food. Also, on the reverse side of that, if something happens to our home, it happens to our freezers, it happens to the canned goods or our house burns, God forbid, then we have the animals sitting on farm that can still provide that back. So you have to look at it as a balancing effect. Make sure you have animals on farm, but at the same time, you have to make sure that we have food already put up. Did you finish the land project? We actually are working on the land project. Misty showed a snippet of it on a video the other day. You can go back and check that out, and we're going to be talking about that in the next little bit. I listened to the guy about drones being used for radioactive material. Yes, Chris. And please, anybody that's watching this, we're still going to release a video this evening at 6 o'clock, and we're going to talk a little bit about that, about the two experts that came out about the drones. I think it's going to be a great video. You need to pay attention to it because it does affect us. It does affect our food, and it does affect how we look at food as a whole. Meaning, the next coming years. It's really something to think about. Let's see. Uh, t- 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 Any other questions? I'm trying to keep up with the comments. My family wants to farm. I think we should cover the majority of the land with greenhouse. The chemtrails thing has been overtime lately. But your thoughts? Depends on the area that you're in. VN. It depends on the area you're in. The way we approach it is we have some covered, some greenhouses. We're actually building another hydroponics kind of setup in Misty's greenhouse. We have a high tunnel, caterpillar tunnel, and then we have some out in the elements. So we try to have the best of both worlds and then be able to utilize that to where again, is the chemtrails hurting if something's sprayed hurting our crops? Hopefully not. But if they are, that's why we still raise kind of a duplicate version of that in the greenhouse. I enjoyed the video of the boars fighting. Yeah, that was on Misty's channel. We've had that really turn out bad in another scenario, and that's kind of why Misty was freaked out a little bit. Last time that happened, we actually had to put one of the boars down. I can't remember, Misty, did we put both those boars down or just one? I think it was just one. But basically, they fought to a point where I could not get between them to a point where it was dangerous for us. If you've never dealt with pigs, pigs can be very, very dangerous. We love pigs. We love raising them. But if boars get together, it could be very, very dangerous and something that could cause a major problem. So you have to be very careful there. We have pig boards, but we always carry something on our side, two-way rights, to make sure that just in case something gets out of hand. And that's what was happening the other day. Luckily, we have a hard fence between them. The ones before we did not. All right, let's see what else. Is there a way to do an indoor, no basement root cellar setup? Yes, you could do something like a cool room, hats, or you could do. Here's another idea: look up like a cheese refrigerator or a wine refrigerator, a wine cooler refrigerator. What that is that keeps it at a lower condition, like a root cellar, but it does not refrigerate it like a refrigerator. Now, here's another option. We have a cool bot set up in our cooler. That's set because we want a refrigerator temperature, but you could take that cool bot and set it up higher to make it at that 50 to 60 to 70 degrees, whatever you're wanting it for root cellar. I don't know what you're trying to put in the root cellar. So depends on what you're wanting. So if you're looking for a true root cellar, you want to be able at 50 to 60 degrees. But that cool bot can do freezer, refrigerator, or cool room, such as a wine cellar. That way it helps you kind of fit, what you're wanting in that root cellar. I mean, in that new cellar that you're building that doesn't have to be below ground. Yeah, boars fighting can be a serious danger. It can be. And again, we had to put one down doing that one time. We thought about raising pigs, but now I'm kind of worried about it. I mean, it's not bad at all raising animals. It's not bad raising pigs. The thing is, though, you have to respect them. They are a big animal, and they can. I've seen my boar, and I mean, again, I know there's videos on it. We have about a 650, 700 pound boar named Big Red. I've seen him take a gate and literally just mangle it. Just pick it up, mangle it, no big deal. Like it didn't even phase him. He was not trying to be bad. He was just saying, "I want the gate out of my way, and I'm going to take it out." And he did. He destroyed it. So you have to respect the animal. It's kind of like the cow, the horse, whatever it may be. These animals are bigger than us, so show respect to them. That's like some of these animals they get on my nerves sometimes. They cause problems, but you have to make sure that you're safe when you deal with animals. I lived on a farm, and that was a lot smarter. I don't remember a lot, but I need to know some things. I agree, Neil. They're fun. Animals are great, They can be deadly, not so much as chickens. Now my kids would say different. They hate roosters, but when it comes to other bigger animals, look, I've been kicked by a cow one time, knocked me on the ground. I've been chased after a pig. Misty talked about that. We talked about that on a live years ago, but it literally ripped my bibs. If she could have got my leg, oh my gosh, it would have been terrible. I wouldn't have got away from her. So we've been around just about all kind of crazy animals. Let's see. How would you suggest prepping when you live in a basement suite? Rabbits is probably a cost to raise them. I'm trying to prep. Okay, so if I lived into a point where I was only indoors, I probably wouldn't raise any animals just because of the cleanliness and trying to keep it clean for them. If you have a back porch or you have a little side porch or you have someone you can co-op with, learn to co-op with friends, build community. And if you can raise the microgreens or you can raise the greenhouse stuff indoors, let that other person raise the rabbits or the chickens in a smaller area. Learning to co-op and working together as a community is key when it comes to homesteading and when it comes to prepping and sustainability. One thing about prepping, we always want to act like we got to do it all our own self, and that makes no sense. Let's learn to work together with other families who are like-minded, and if I can't grow something, that person can. That's something we should learn from the Amish. One thing, if you go to an Amish village, most of them do not do all sustainable living. Most of them don't do as much as we do, but they're sharing because the next guy is doing something else, and the next guy is doing something else, so then they work together, and that's huge. And Oakley, thank you for coming along for sure. All right, let's see. There's a few more questions. Yes, our ponds are stocked. We have a lake that's actually stocked with our with brim, with white perch, which is our favorite, and bass. That's our favorite to catch. And then we've built a new pond on the new location that's more of a cattle pond, but we're going to actually put some catfish or brim in it as well. Let's see. We have 3 acres, so I'm wanting to put it to better use. You can do a lot with 3 acres. Don't let anybody tell you can't. Don't let naysayers tell you can't. You can utilize that with hog, with goat, sheep, or with big gardens. You could be fully sustainable on 3 acres. We've seen people do it, and we've actually done it on a smaller scale too. So we own a bigger farm, but to be honest with you, we don't need all this farm for growing enough food for us. I mean, we grow bigger herds of animals and things like that, but that's not a have to. You don't have to have that kind of much of animals. So you can do a lot in a small area. You just have to learn to build the right infrastructure and make sure you learn good. Let's see. All right. I think we've answered a lot of the questions. So we're running out of time. I want to share a few things with you. Okay, we have two announcements, and one is dealing with the future of our channel here and what we're going to keep on doing, of course, and then one is a new announcement for another channel. So here we go. The first big news is we just started another channel. Just like I just answered your questions right now, dealing with farm life, dealing with homesteading, dealing with prepping, with sustainable living, dealing with animals. There was a lot of people that like what we used to do with our homestead and doing daily vlogs. So Misty does have the Max Life, but we are also having another channel, and Misty's going to share the link to that channel, but it's going to be called Life with Colby Mack. And what we're doing, we just put a video up today. It's a brand new channel. I think it has like 0 subscribers, may have 4 because my kids or my wife subscribe to it. But that channel will be focused on doing these kind of things, talking about the off-grid property, talking about taking land raw and going to the next step, talking about raising animals, raising dairy cows. And then you're going to see us. We're going to be fishing. We're going to be hunting. We're going to be utilizing that whole um, that whole channel for uplifting and good. Now, the purpose of that is I love the Max and I love us keep doing this. We're going to keep on sharing day in and day out with you, dealing with lives and making sure that we are sharing the latest news when it comes to sustainable living and prepping and breaking news that affects you and your family. But sometimes, like most people say, it kinda gets us down. I mean, sometimes it's hard to do with that. So we're gonna go back and we're gonna open this channel up called Life with Colby Mack. You'll see my wife, you'll see the kids on it. But the purpose of the channel is so you can see what I do on a daily basis, my personal life, but also understanding that I wanna be able to answer your questions. I wanna be able to show you what soul generation is. I wanna show you regenerative ag. I wanna show you what true life is for someone who is trying to live a life full time with 6 kids, a beautiful wife, and then again, owning a farm and running a YouTube station. So we're trying to do a lot with this channel, and we're gonna do, we're gonna try to do probably 1 or 2 videos a week. We can't do a lot on that channel because we are so busy with the other channels, and we're also busy with our life, and we don't take away from our children. So please go over, subscribe to that channel. We have 1 video up, so it doesn't take long to watch. It's my morning routine from 4 a.m. to 7 a.m., what I do on a daily basis, people. And don't tell me you're too busy, because if you watch that video, it'll probably blow your mind what we do from 4 to 7. So go check that video out. Now, that's our first big announcement. Second big announcement for this channel. We have been really suppressed lately, and so I need your support. I need you to give us thumbs up, share the content. We love daily posting. We're going to keep on doing it. We're going to keep on doing some lives on this channel as well. But we are going to start doing a little bit more in depth on some of the breaking news, but also we're going to show you something that we've been working on for over a year. Now, this is not something that's going to be easy to show, and I know this is kind of vague. So this is an announcement that I want you to pay attention to. In the next coming weeks, me and Misty's going to show some things that we've learned. And in the serious talk of nuclear and radioactive waves and blackouts, when we hear that stuff, it kind of scares us. So we're going to show you something, and we're going to talk about it to a point where you know it could teach you something and help you learn, um, hopefully get you to the next level when it comes to prepping. So we're going to talk about that. Now, Max Life is my wife, Misty Christine. That's the one that is blue. That's got a wrench beside her name. She's a moderator on the channel, but her channel is called the Max Life. Again, she shows our children. She made some phenomenal divinity the other day. You need to go check that out. And also, she showed the pigs fighting. So but go check out that channel, and also we're gonna do some great things on this channel. Be looking for new content on this channel, not just the news, but other things to get you to the next level of prepping. The other channel, the new channel called Life with Colby Mack, is not political. We're gonna try to keep it strictly about the life that we live as modern day homesteaders and regenerative ag, and we're gonna take it to the next level because we want to teach you not only we want to make sure your money's right. We want to make sure the way that you're raising your animals and the way you're raising your family is right. How to be a godly man, how to be a godly wife, just life in general. So go check that channel out. And then again, this channel is really going to go in depth on some things that are coming up because it's getting more serious, the world that we live in. And I honestly believe it's going to be a good thing. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Remember, it is 4:30. I'm putting another video out on this channel at 6 o'clock. So you've got a bunch of the max stuff tonight to do. But this next video is going to be on the things that we talk about. In a case where these drones are seeing some issues, and we're seeing the fact that there's some more talk about this radioactive stuff. We're going to talk about what you need. 5 things that you need. Go check that video out when it comes out at 6. So you got an hour and a half to go eat, spend time with your family, come back and watch the max. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Check out the new channel. Keep watching this channel and keep sharing it. We thank you so very much. We humbly thank you for being a part of our lives. We've had YouTube, I think, for 6 years. And it means the world to us that you're a part of our lives each and every day. Again, Max Life is on here. That's my wife. Go check her channel out. She's a lot prettier than I am, and that way you can see what we're doing on in her perspective on the farm. Guys, thank you for watching. God bless.